And the grid as follows: Alistair Kellett, because he was the winner yesterday, is on pole position, and alongside him on the front row, Gary Miller, George Foxlow and Jack Sant on row 2, with Graham Colfer and Simon Horrobin on the third row. Then Kasper Tomolewski and Luke Waugh make up the fourth row of the grid. Row 5, Sean Reynolds and Marco Ritchie with Harry Hayes, Brady Pollock, John Cooper and James Pope towards the back of the field. Brady Pollock had issues and had to start from the back. He had a delayed start yesterday and was never really a factor in that first race, but hopefully should be able to get more stuck in for race number 2. Kellett was a pretty comfortable race winner yesterday, all being said. He got away from some of the battling that was going on behind him and had a pretty uncontested run to victory. Gary Miller second, and George Foxlow made some really bold moves, as is the George Foxlow way, to get through into third position. You've got to be a confident man to carry the hairstyle that George Foxlow's decided to go for, and that confidence very much translates into his driving style. He can't hear me this time, he's in the car. I can get away with it for now. But George, we really did admire his racing yesterday. It was a hugely exciting performance, and now he starts from third on the grid. He could be a danger man in this one, couldn't he, John?
He definitely could. Yeah, I'm very excited for this one. As we always say with ST240, there's so many names on the field who could win, who have won in the past. But of course, Kellett, it was a classic Kellett race, wasn't it, yesterday? Trying my onomatopoeia, but tripping over all the words. Well done, John. It was amazing, wasn't it? Classic, drove away with it, just managed it at the front, and even when the drivers were trying to chase him down, he then just found that little bit more to extend the gap even further.
Yes, can he do it again now then? Can he lead this one from the front and get another victory? Let's find out. It's a good initial start from Gary Miller on the outside of row 1, but the second phase of the start better for Kellett, and he will lead them through the first corner. Miller second, Foxlow just about third, a couple running wide over the curb and the cement dust laid down from the previous Caterham race. That was Graham Colfer, I think, who ran a bit too wide and might now lose a position to Kasper Tomolewski, who's had a really good start from the fourth row of the grid, and he's up there battling for position inside the top 6. It's Kellett that leads, Miller second, under threat from George Foxlow as they head out of Church Corner and up the school straight for the first time. The slipstream effect, as we were hearing from a couple of the Caterham drivers there, not as powerful today without that headwind up the back straight, and so they're not seeing the cars bunched together quite to the same extent that we're used to seeing today, but there's still a little bit of an advantage for the tow, definitely, and a few drivers going very late on the brakes. They're all cleanly through Rocket though, thank goodness, and so far so good for yesterday's race winner.
Not as strong, but still decently strong, as here is the move up the inside from Foxlow. I mean, you might not be quite a fan of his hairstyle, but I'm a very big fan of his racing style as he chucks it up the inside there at the top section of the circuit. Into second place he goes, but already a little bit of squabbling at the sharp end, allowing for Kellett to break free. Just as we saw in race number 1 yesterday, it was a great initial start off the lights from Graham Colfer, but this time, as you say, running wide out of turn 1, just left it open to attack. He did manage to keep Tomolewski behind. He stays there in 5th place, just behind Jack Sant then in 4th, who now has Gary Miller ahead of him, as he has been relinquished of second by Foxlow, and Foxlow already turning his attention to Kellett out front. There's no thought about defending from Gary Miller. It's all eyes on Kellett out at the sharp end, and of course it's Kellett's previous championship winning car that's chasing him down, this time piloted by Mr. George Foxlow. Exactly so. Jack Sant there having a go up the inside of Gary Miller as well into turn 1, so Gary struggling a little bit here in the early stages of this one. Colfer under attack there from Tomolewski. Kasper Tomolewski on a real tear at the start of this one, then moves his way up into the top 5 now, having started 7th on the grid, so a couple of places gained, except he's then on the outside into Church Corner, and Graham Colfer tries to get the place back away from him, but not quite able to do so. We need to turn our attention to the leaders though, because I'll tell you what, George Foxlow is having a go at Alistair Kellett as they head towards Rocket Corner. Kellett defending the lead, but they're absolutely, and he's gone wide. Kellett's gone wide at the top of the hill, and I think Foxlow got the lead away there. Off in the distance, they're side by side, and still side by side, heading towards Peel Corner. Alistair Kellett defending the inside line, but George Foxlow is up for the fight. Can he go right round the outside of Peel? Surely not, John. He can. He's still there on the outside line, which of course becomes the inside as we head down into this very fast left-hander. He'll try and hang around the outside with Kellett, and I think he's just about been given the room there by Foxlow as well. But no, Foxlow gets the chop across on the exit and gets the lead. Well, for the first time this weekend, it's someone who's not called Alistair Kellett in the lead of this race in the ST240s. Foxlow takes to the front, and as I've been corrected by the man with all the knowledge to the right of us, Mr. Richard John Neal, that is not not, I'm afraid, Kellett's old car. That's a brand new car for this season, so apologies, I was wrong there. Thank you, Richard, for the updated information. Either way, it's a brand new car, and he's into the lead of the race.
I was under the impression it was as well, in fairness, John, but there you go. It is a Kellett colour, isn't it, to that car? But George Foxlow's always run red and blue, yellow and blue cars. I'm going colourblind now. Yellow and blue cars. It is Fiesta Racing days. So the leaders head down into the banking, and it is Foxlow from Kellett, from Gary Miller in third in the Dick Johnson Racing inspired livery on the 42 car. Jack Sant in fourth, and Kasper Tomaszewski also having a really good run here in fifth position. He did get the better of Graham Colfer in that side-by-side battle that we sort of had to cut away from to focus on the leaders. The leader, singular, really now, getting away. George Foxlow, not only has he raced up to the back of the leader and taken the position, he's now starting to get away from Alistair Kellett as they head towards Rocket for the third time.
Yeah, mightily impressive this from Foxlow, taking the race lead, and now as we see, taking the fastest lap, a 1 minute 41.2. He is trying to scamper off and was decently clear of Kellett's time on the last lap, but of course we know Kellett fantastic at managing those tyres. So will Foxlow take too much out of them early on in the race? We saw that yesterday in race number 1, was super feisty early on, but then started to slip back in the second half when he started to lose those tyres underneath him. Well, he's pressing on now, so I think the plan for Foxlow at the moment is get as far ahead of Kellett as possible and then deal with the last part of the race when we come to it. Whereas Kellett continuing to save those tyres, as long as he can keep in second place, he should then start to reel Foxlow back in at the end of the race. Just making sure he's staying within slipstream range at the moment so he's able to attack when the time is right.
That's a very good point. He did run out of pace a bit in the latter third of yesterday's race, didn't he, George Foxlow? It was a very entertaining first part of the race, but they're on slick tyres, these Fiesta ST240s, and a slick tyre will wear out if he really starts abusing it. Oh, and off in the background goes the 777 of Sean Reynolds, but there was almost drama for Tomaszewski ahead. Luke War, I think, has been delayed in all of that as well. He rejoins the circuit towards the back, and Simon Horobin has brought the car into the pit lane, so it was all kicking off there through the final corner, and unfortunately a couple of them losing quite a bit of ground as a result. But yeah, Tomaszewski and Colfer nearly collided. We've got a yellow flag on the exit of turn 1 where Sean Reynolds has pulled over at the side of the road, so the 777 car stopping at the side of the track, and he is going no further. He's well out of harm's way though, so I don't think we'll need a safety car as Simon Horobin is able to get back underway after a brief period in the pit lane. I don't think he lost a lap, did he? He came in that time, yes, so he'll be hoping for a safety car now, I suppose, and he'll see the Sean Reynolds car on the exit of turn 1 and think, oh, well, maybe that could happen, but I suspect they will leave that car where it is.
Indeed, I suspect so. Continue to watch this battle now. This is Colfer and Cooper, isn't it? 6th and 7th place at the moment. I suppose I didn't get a giggle out of that one.
I wasn't listening, if I'm honest. 6th and 7th, right?
Yeah, we're carrying on for the Sunday, guys. Sorry. Our childish humour continues.
Don't bring me into this, John.
Well, these two continuing to battle, and this time Cooper's up the inside, then into the hairpin. Nicely done under brakes. Gives the room to Colfer on the outside and gets it done. John Cooper moves through into 6th place then. So after that initial exciting start from Colfer, just slipping back a place or two now. He lost out to Tomaszewski a couple of laps ago, and now down to 7th as John Cooper finds his way through. But look at that then. Alistair Kellett is your fastest driver out there as you look back to another very similarly liveried car. This is a move for 3rd place. Sant trying to get through on Gary Miller, but Miller will continue to hold that inside line. Down into the banking we go. All the way around the outside goes Sant, and he might just get the better exit as well. He will. They'll continue side by side down into Church, but I think he'll just about have the chop across. He does. Sant is through into 3rd place.
And Tomaszewski with them as well. Kasper Tomaszewski, another driver, much improved this weekend in the series. Had good pace yesterday, but damaged the front splitter, didn't he, early on, and that just sort of got worse and worse and worse as the 20 minutes went by, whereas in this one he's kept the car in one piece so far, and is now right on the tail of this 3rd place battle. So Sant into 3rd. It'll be interesting to see now, isn't it, whether he can get away at the front. Gary Miller a bit slow through the first part of Rocket. He's being pushed through the second part of Rocket by the 5th place man, and Kasper Tomaszewski with some real momentum here, and wanting to try and go after Jack Sant if he can. So they drop down then through the corkscrew. 3rd, 4th, 5th, pretty much nose to tail. 6th is John Cooper. And Graham Colfer all the way down to 7th. So Colfer's lost. Oh, he had that drama at the... No, he didn't have the drama in the final corner. Where did Colfer lose all that ground? Not so sure. He was battling with Tomaszewski a couple of laps ago, who is now round the outside of Gary Miller, who's struggling for whatever reason in this race. Is Gary. He's going to show Kasper Tomaszewski the edge of the road out of the hairpin. Did that just lose Kasper enough traction off the turn? It did, that he's not able to stay alongside. So Gary Miller keeping Kasper Tomaszewski at bay, although he's had another go on the inside into the last corner. Kasper couldn't do it, and now John Cooper very much joins the battle as well.
It's sad, I think we've lost Graham Colfer, and he's not come round ahead of Pope.
You're right.
Where has he dropped down to? I've not seen him at all, so I think he's off and out of the race, sadly, is Graham Colfer. As I can see Sant dropping down the timing order, but I think that's an issue with his transponder. I think he had the same yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, as well. As there is Mr. Colfer off in the scenery. Nice place to watch the race, but I think he wants to be in it a bit more, so sadly he's parked up. We'll try and spot where that is. I think it's up near the top section of the circuit. Is it all the way down at the hairpin, potentially? But a shame there, of course. We saw him lose out to Tomaszewski. We've just seen him sadly lose out to John Cooper, and then they sort of settled in about a second behind Cooper, but clearly something with a bit more issue in that car than we first realised, and he is out of this race now, is Graham Colfer. Same for Sean Reynolds on that 777 as well, but we keep our eyes firmly focused on what is now the battle for 4th place. Of course, Jack Sant getting ahead of all of this a lap or two ago, and now Gary Miller really finding himself under a bit of pressure here. John Cooper's done a lovely job getting past, of course, Graham Colfer a couple of laps ago, now closing up to this battle and really piling the pressure on here to Tomaszewski as he looks up the inside, almost down the hill. He puts the pressure on, doesn't quite get the moved on this time, but well, John Cooper, he's going for it.
Yes, he is. Good to see John Cooper getting into the battle here, and he'd like to try and slip to the inside of Tomaszewski here at the hairpin. He's going to try it. He's late on the brakes. Tomaszewski's going to turn in. Oh, that's always a little bit difficult, isn't it, when the car that's being attacked doesn't necessarily realise they're being attacked, but he just about saw John Cooper coming at the last moment. They're side by side and still down into the final corner behind the pits. He's on the outside line, is John. That's never going to work into the final turn. They'll try and get the switchback, but yeah, not able to get the overlap. Headlights ablaze on John Cooper's car, though. He means business and wants to try and get through and then get onto the tail of Gary Miller for 4th position, that is. The leaders are 7/10 of a second apart. Alistair Kellett, I'm not sure whether he's just biding his time or whether he is absolutely going hell for leather to try and stay with George Foxlow. We're into the second half of the race now. This is about the period which yesterday George seemed to maybe start running out of front tyres a little bit. But is that going to be the case in race 2, or has he learned his lesson from yesterday, I wonder? Tomaszewski, rear of the car, sliding under braking there into Rocket, where Gary Miller's outbraked himself and gone wide. Now did that one settle itself out then? There are the leaders. Miller hangs on, but Tomaszewski with another opportunity maybe to take advantage of that mistake.
Indeed, but Tomaszewski's obviously in a tough position, isn't he? Gary Miller making that mistake, but he's not able to make the most of it, ends up losing them both time, and Cooper is hot on his heels, of course. But we turn our attention back to the leading battle then. Has Foxlow taken too much out of the tyres early on here when he's under a lot of pressure once more for your defending champion of Alistair Kellett, who looks to try and fake out Foxlow there into the hairpin and maybe just outbrakes himself a little bit, going a little bit too deep, but he'll cut it back on the exit, as there is a big move up the inside from John Cooper, going to lead on Tomaszewski as they go through to the exit, and those two are on side by side down to the final corner. You know that that Cooper will move across, and he is going to move across aggressively so on Tomaszewski to try and spook him, to try and make sure he doesn't go up the inside into the final corner, but Tomaszewski will, late on the brakes into the final corner. Cooper going for the up and under. Can he get a good enough exit to get the inside line down into turn 1? He tries to, he will, sends it on the brakes. Will there be contact between the two of them? They just avoid each other, thank goodness, and for this moment anyway, Cooper not able to find a way through. Aggressive stuff there from John Cooper, but it hasn't worked this time. Big point though is, even with those two going into a proper ding-dong battle there, hasn't really given much opportunity to Gary Miller to scamper off. He's clearly struggling just a little bit more here in race number 2 of the weekend. But either way, staying there in 4th place for the moment and keeping Tomaszewski and Cooper behind, but only really thanks to the fact that those two are battling so heavily.
Yeah, brilliant scrap this, isn't it, between the three of them. Gary Miller then just about keeping these two at arm's length this time as they head up towards Rocket Corner. Uses all of the inside curb. And as the field make their way through the top end of the circuit, Gary Miller can't escape. He's defending nicely, but he can't escape from this group, can he? And he's going to have his hands full, I think, for the remaining 7 minutes of the race. They drop down through the left-hander at the top of the corkscrew. Leader George Foxlow, half a second clear still of Alistair Kellett. And Jack Sant a little bit lonely now in third. 5 seconds off the lead, 3 seconds ahead of this battle going on behind. He'll be quite grateful, I think, that Gary Miller is defending so busily to keep Tomaszewski and Cooper at bay. It's allowing Jack to have a pretty uncontested run in third position. Leaders back across the line, and it is again only a car length or so between the two of them. Near identical pace being set by Foxlow and Kellett. In fact, they were only 5 thousandths of a second apart last time. There's only about 5 thousandths separating these two as they come out of the last corner, as Kasper Tomaszewski uses all of the curb. Maybe a bit of frustration starting to set in now.
Potentially. He has also scampered off from John Cooper pretty nicely, and now is putting the pressure back onto Gary Miller. So immediately Tomaszewski turning his attention from defence back to attack. And as you said in the catering races already, often the best form of defence is attack. If Tomaszewski can get past Miller, I'm sure that Cooper will then start putting the pressure on Gary himself, and Tomaszewski might have the chance to try and break away into P4, just like we've seen Jack Sant do early on in this race, into third place. But again, highlights just how crucial those the track position is, and of course affected by qualifying and previous race results as well. So Foxlow and Kellett able to break away early on. Of course, they might get into a battle between themselves now over this last 5 minutes, but they've got a lovely margin to the rest of the pack. And as we say now, Sant in a bit of no man's land, but given the fact he had to battle early on in the race, that's what's lost him that 5, 6, 7 seconds of time to be there in third place. But like you say, has a few seconds back to fourth, so he's chilling.
I'm going to mute your microphone next time you do that. Leaders into the hairpin, and that was very late on the brakes there for Kellett, who's desperately trying to get back into the lead. He's thinking championship, I'm sure, but he wants to win a race if he can. Where's John Cooper gone? John Cooper has dropped a long way back. Is he slowing? He's weaving as if he's been off the road, maybe. He's trying to clear the tyres of dirt heading into the hairpin. We'll keep an eye on that situation. Hopefully it's not a problem developing for John Cooper in that car that he jumped into at the back end of last year. His original car written off in a huge accident at Alton Park last summer. Gary Miller's gone wide at the last corner, and that's Tomaszewski's opportunity. He's up the inside. They've already banged wing mirrors a few times. You can see that. Both wing mirrors folded in. They're doing so again now round turn one. Gary Miller hanging out around the outside. Great respectful driving though from Tomaszewski to not shuffle him off the edge of the road, and he keeps on coming around the outside through the banking. Can he now use the banking to carry the momentum into Church? No, they're still locked together. Absolutely nothing to choose between the two of them. Terrific racing, and Gary Miller is going to fend him off, I think. Surely Kasper can't go around the outside at Church. He is, but he just has to settle back in line behind Gary Miller. He's a tough man to pass. He always has been, and he's proving that now to Kasper Tomaszewski, who I believe is probably the quicker of the two, but he just can't breach the defences of the experienced Miller ahead of him.
What racing it is between these two. It's been fantastic. As you say, Tomaszewski's all over the back of Gary Miller, but Miller seems to have an answer to everything thrown at him by Tomaszewski. Yeah, shame there for Cooper. Not sure what happened. I think you're probably right in terms of he's been off track at some point, because he's straight back up to race pace. He's now got James Pope for a bit of company as they now battle for P6. We keep our eyes on this one between Miller and Tomaszewski for the moment. Like you say, seems as though it's a case of when, not if, that Tomaszewski goes past here. But Gary Miller's defence has been brilliant as he tries to hold on to fourth place and gain himself a few more championship points. He covers the inside line, down into the hairpin once more. As you said, lovely side-by-side action. Maybe wasn't the right choice to continue side-by-side through Church to Tomaszewski. Then could have maybe used the slipstream a little bit more up the hill. But either way, making it work, as we see coming across the line. There's very, very close now, isn't it, between Foxlow and Kellett. Nose to tail with less than 3 minutes to go.
They were actually overlapping coming out of the last corner. Kellett, I thought, had him, but didn't quite get off the turn well enough. So George Foxlow defending the lead. George, to my knowledge, has only ever won one race in the ST240s. Here 2 years ago. It was the third race of the weekend at Anglesey. So he goes well here, but hasn't won since then. He's been a constant present near the front of the field, but George Foxlow really wants to get that second victory in the championship, and to do it, he's going to have to fend off the most successful man in the championship, Alistair Kellett. This is going to be a real battle for the ages. Can he stay there for another 2.25 minutes? This will be the penultimate lap of the race, I suspect, and Alistair Kellett is going to ask some serious questions of the youngster, who I do think is running out of front tyres a little bit. Maybe not to the extent he was yesterday. He's got the track position advantage, which counts for something as well, but my word, he's going to have to fight for this one.
Yeah, he hasn't done as much fighting in this one as he did in race number 1 yesterday, so held on to a little bit of tyres, or at least more than yesterday, as you mentioned, but Kellett, always known as the tyre whisperer, isn't he? He always has that little bit in the locker ready to go when he needs it, and now he well and truly needs it if he wants to make it 2 wins from 2 here at Anglesey. Once again, fakes to the inside there, down at the hairpin, pulls out wide to get the better exit, does Kellett, but time is ticking down now. Opportunities are dwindling here for Kellett. He might just need to show his hand in the next few moments, or Foxlow is going to wrap up this victory, as you say, for the first time in 2 years here in the ST240s.
1 lap to settle it then. The last lap board is out. 2.1 miles left to decide the outcome of race number 2 of the weekend for the AIRTEC Motorsport Fiesta ST240 Championship. And Alistair Kellett is running out of opportunities. He fakes to the inside there into the banking, tries to force a mistake out of Foxlow, but Foxlow is not easily rattled, takes a nice defensive line and actually comes out of the corner quicker than Kellett. Now, that is significant because we're heading now to the back straight. Okay, slipstream not quite as powerful today maybe as it has been in the past, but Foxlow's keeping Kellett, 3 or 4 car lengths back, and I'm not convinced, John, that Alistair will be close enough by the time he reaches the braking zone.
No, I don't think so. Kellett got a nice entry into Church, but the exit, I think Foxlow was ever so slightly better, just scrubbed off that apex speed a little bit more and then carried it through to the apex a bit better, whereas Kellett off the exit curb ever so slightly, bumped around a little bit, lost a bit of that speed, and as you say, takes away the opportunity to go for it up at Rocket, which, as we know, is one of the best overtaking opportunities of the circuit. Now, we've seen Kellett fake to the inside many times down at the hairpin. This time, surely it can't be a fake and he's got to go for it, but saying that, he's too far back, isn't he? It's a good couple of car lengths as they head down through towards that back straight down towards the hairpin, and I think Foxlow seemingly has done enough.
I think you might be right. Let's hope we're not putting the jinx on him. It's been 2 years since he last won a race in the championship right here at Anglesey. It's been a happy hunting ground for George, who was out watching some of the racing trackside yesterday, watching the Fiesta Juniors up at the top of the hill. Maybe he learns a thing or two because he's driven really well in this one. His defensive driving has been impeccable. To keep Alistair Kellett at bay is not an easy thing to do, but he's going to succeed in doing so. Out of the final corner he comes. George Foxlow wins the second race of the weekend at Anglesey in the ST240s. Alistair Kellett has to settle for second this time, and it's going to be a lonely third position for Jack Sant, who only now comes off the final corner. He was, in the end, what was that gap? It was... Oh, his transponder's not working, is it? There we go, 11.5 seconds off the lead, and he was about 5 seconds ahead of Gary Miller, who does hold on to 4th position, ahead of Tomaszewski and Cooper. James Pope ahead of Brady Pollock. Good to see Brady Pollock running a bit better in that one, though. And Brady Pollock is the leading AM driver, actually. Gets an AM class victory, does Brady. And off behind. One car went straight on there at the last corner. That was the 26 car of Harry Hayes, who loses a position to Luke War as a result. That was all a little bit odd for Harry, who had some sort of a drama coming through the final corner. Well, brilliant race that. One of the races of the weekend so far. And George Foxlow, a very deserving race winner.
Indeed. Yeah, he did really well to hold on to that, didn't he? We all thought that Alistair might have something in the locker there to pull out over the last couple of laps, but no, Foxlow was just able to gap just enough there to make sure that Kellett couldn't go for the move, and as well, got to give a shout out to Gary Miller. His defence throughout that race was impeccable, and somehow he kept Kasper Tomaszewski behind.
Absolutely, Dick Johnson would be proud. George Foxlow then the winner, with Alistair Kellett and Jack Sant joining him on the podium. Gary Miller 4th ahead of Kasper Tomaszewski and John Cooper, with James Pope, Brady Pollock, Marco Ricci and Luke War completing the top 10. Brady Pollock getting himself the AM class win for Jam Sport Racing. Harry Hayes and Simon Horrobin 11th and 12th respectively. Then Graham Colfer and Sean Reynolds 13th and 14th. Except actually Horrobin wasn't running at the flag, nor of course was Colfer, and nor was Sean Reynolds, who pulled over to the side of the road part way through that race. So, very exciting stuff from the ST240s, as we've come to expect, and we get to do that all over again later on this afternoon.